Alright, in this lesson I'll introduce how to retrieve a group from our GroupBy object using the getGroup method. So I'll begin by re-executing our code, and there we have our fortune data frame, and of course our GroupBy object is stored in the variable called sectors. And this getGroup method is actually going to be called on that GroupBy object. That's what's containing all of those groupings. So I'm going to write sectors dot group, or rather getGroup. So our method is called getGroup. It takes a pair of parentheses at the end, and the argument that we give is a string that holds the name of the group that we would like to extract. So in this case, we can give it one of 21 different values, which is one of our sectors. So for example, one of our sectors, as we can see up here, is called energy. So if I type in energy in double quotes, it's going to return a data frame. And if I scroll down and take a look, we can see that every value in the sector column is energy. So it's basically doing essentially a subset. Behind the scenes it's a little bit different, but it's pulling out all the rows where we have energy, because it represents one group of 21 in our big GroupBy object. Similarly, if I wanted to pull another group, let's say technology, I'd write my GroupBy object, which is sectors. I'm calling the getGroup method, using my parentheses to begin the method and providing an argument. Let's do technology. So now I'm going to get a data frame of rows where the value in the sector column is technology. So it's pulling out that grouping of 21 available groupings from our GroupBy object. Let's do one more example. Let's say we want to pull the apparel grouping. That's another one of our 21 available options in this GroupBy object. I'm going to do sectors.getGroup and give it an argument of apparel. And there you'll see we have all of the apparel companies listed. And I'm just going to collapse this, and hopefully you're starting to get a sense of how powerful and effective this method could be. Imagine doing this manually, one by one. Let's say we wanted to create 21 separate data frames for each one of our separate sector values. You know, in the past we would do something like pull out the sector column, do a comparison to get a Boolean series, so there's our falses and trues, and then pass it like this in square brackets, get those values, perhaps assign them to a new variable, or perhaps assign them as values to a new dictionary with 21 different keys. That would take 21 lines of code. That would take a ton of repetition and a ton of writing and a lot of duplication, everything that sort of violates the traditional Python and programming principles of don't repeat yourself. In comparison, here we've done a single command, this data frame or fortune.groupby. We've provided the column, and Pandas has automatically generated this object, this GroupBy object, that basically accomplishes what we want. It groups every one of those rows that fall into those 21 different sectors into its own separate grouping and makes extraction really easy. So all we have to do is call this GroupBy method and then just call the getGroup, and we're essentially going to do this complex extraction, this subsetting of data from our original data frame, but with a lot less ease and a lot more simplicity. So hopefully you're starting to get a sense of just how powerful GroupBy is when we're talking about collecting data and categorizing it, organizing it, grouping it. And in the next lesson, we'll continue to explore some additional methods that are available on our Pandas GroupBy object.